Hey, what's going on, everyone? Astrologer Eric Rosen here for Viking Rising Astrology Daily Horoscope for Tuesday, November 6, 2024, day after Election Day. Moon going through Capricorn. Not going to do it today, but still got a crossover Pluto. There's some funkiness going on where there's still more to come. There's reveals to come, but if we focus this on our personal life, this is definitely very much about, how do we get down into truth, into our own lives personally. This is a deep, deep search for the truth of like, what is those final remaining levels, maybe levels you didn't even know about that have been holding you back in your life subconsciously from getting to where you really want to go. And it's about moving that energy out of the way. It's a lot of self-awareness, subconscious reprogramming type of day. That sort of level of self-mastery to, really move our lives forward. Like if it were me, as an astrologer, I would be using this day as a day of, committing to structures, disciplines, practices that obviously take care of responsibilities that are still, spiritually infused in nature, that even as your human ebbs and flows and slips up and experiences reactions, wounds, negative thoughts, just all this stuff that can happen, right? That there's still a course correction to bring, spirit, God, creator, angels like into the fold, 24/7 as much as you can. And then when it comes to like what you're creating in your life, the choices that you're making, the actions that you're taking, even the conversations that you're having, they feel synchronistic, they feel in flow, they feel led by spirit. This is an opportunity to remind ourselves the universe has our back, to where with that moon in Leo, that Mars in Leo, now that we can have a reminder that we can identify and do the things that we really love to do and enjoy, and that we don't have to force anything that would actually be doubling down on patterns with Moon and Capricorn, that's eventually going to cross Pluto, and it's this final time here in its Scorpio season of things that actually hold us back and are actually secretly killing us on the inside. This brings up, the metaphysical concept of like heart disease, where it's like the heart like withers because it's not enjoying its, reality, and it feels like reality is somehow pressuring us, and Father Time, waits for us. And so what I wouldn't use this day for is obviously that. I wouldn't use it for, I'll call it a gossipy energy, like, getting distracted by the overwhelm of too much about like what's going on in the world or the political, scene of it. I think this is a day of like spiritual grit, but grit just in general too. Like even when we feel, uncomfortable, like we still give ourselves grace and take care of what we need to take care of on all levels, mind, body, spirit, our emotions. But that spiritual grit is like when we find ourselves like drifting, getting distracted, just like getting lazy. Today's a day that can be, kind of like using it for a sort of laziness. It's like, well, we don't want to use that, Mercury that's in Sagittarius. It's a lot to process on the mental levels, but with it making aspects to the nodes, it's like, let's go for that North Node more so, of like taking, actions with that moon in Capricorn that feel more focused, so it might seem generic, but it's like, it reminds me of like the cartoon where it's like the person, like, look how peaceful they look and they get to go in their own direction when they get out of like the cloud of like the fighting, like all the animals, all the characters like fighting in that like little like white cloud, and you're just like out of it, and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm just not gonna, I'm out of here. Just like, all right, see you guys. There's a sense of, genuine appreciation for knowing you're not in that. So that might be, about half the US right now with like the early results of the election, or at least what may be the final results. And so it's like, how do we do the 5D walk? It's like, well, that's that spiritual connection that I described, and then any creations that want to come out of that. So let's see what we got card wise today. I don't always have my cards within fingertips reach. And yeah, if you want to get that I got those couple specials out. I'll mention the Pluto and Capricorn one first for your zodiac sign, for all 12 signs, because you know that moon is going through Capricorn, and we do have a couple of weeks left. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling drained, you want to find out what's that final lesson or thing that you can do with this remaining couple of weeks. That special is $8. That link is down below. And then when it comes to like a broader scope of like those outer planets changing signs, and how is your consciousness as for your zodiac sign as a soul going to start shifting next year, and like what areas of life to really pay attention to infuse that practically. That is Destiny Tug of War, How to Not Play Small. That's a $9 special. I raised it $1. Inflation. I'm just kidding. That link is down below as well, so you can check that out. And then of course, links for astrology readings. If you want to dig deep into what's going on in your life and get guidance from me, that is the sweet spot. And then of course I have 3 and 6 month plans to help people grow and integrate, spiritually, but also manifest in their life. That's what I do, is the wizard stuff. So beyond just your normal astrologer. Well, this card came up in the reversal yesterday. It wants to come up again. There's a lot of thought realm energy, but at least it's in an upright position. The Palace Athena card. It's like, think before you act, that, especially that position that Mercury is in. So interesting. I shuffled this deck, but like, here it is again. Maybe I got to do a bit of shuffle. It's like 10th house authority card. I mean, the moon is still in Capricorn. So it's reversed. It's like, I think we need to be, this is what I was saying, we need to be really self-aware and observant of like, where do we hold ourselves back? Where are we not our true inner authority? I'm going to pull from a different deck for these last couple of cards. I think coming out of the shrapnel, of yesterday, we still got to make sure we're rooting, make sure we're grounding, take care of the basics, because this can be energy in this astrology where we start like looking too far. Are we getting like too optimistic, or maybe a little too daydreamy? It's like, well, maybe do your, daydreaming when spirit like gives you the invitation, so that it's not just your own mind just creating narratives or stories that might even be maybe even escaping the things that you could be doing that are more real and present in the reality is a big one, because this astrology brings so much about hopefulness and ambitions of places that we want to go and desires, and, but we have to, check that with the facts and the emotions, and not just get like hungry for some type of change. This is about stepping out of our own self-deception, but it's like, how do we, I think really it's a lot of like acknowledging like where our life has been going, of the trajectory, and then going, okay, like where have I subconsciously put myself in this position? And if I don't like it, how do I start building in, the changes now that I can actually do now that start to move me in a different direction, while also not just like, tower carding life, so to speak. That'd be funny if the tower card came up, but actually it was the 4 of, this is 1, 2, 3, 6 of Cups. It's early here. 6 of Cups in reverse position. This is a weird deck. So this is all about like, where do we sometimes let reactivity of like our inner child sort of like lead the mix? So be careful out there if you're talking politics. That's a big one, because a lot of people are actually coming from an emotionally, wounded place. Political issues, tend to pull on our emotions, and those places where we react tend to be the places where we haven't developed a certain sense of adult mastery over our emotions, and we still come from that inner child. So I'll pull one more. Yeah, get out of the anxiety, like we're still in it, but it's like you can step out of that white cloud that I mentioned, and not be a part of that, whether that's in your own mind, of maybe just your own life, your own to-do list. I know it can feel like there's a lot to do, but, there are ways through it. There are ways to connect spiritually and to find that deep passion again. I think that's probably going to be our ultimate Fear is like, how do we dig deeper in and find that within ourselves? Like, this isn't just a day of like, okay, you trudge along, you're, trying to focus, discipline, the spiritual connection, the mastery, yada, yada, all of it, the search for truth, but it's in order to connect to a deeper sense of passion that feels more infused with like a healthy, expressive, joyful, inner child. And so it's like, even if that doesn't reveal itself today, it's like, just know that that's like the reward at the end of doing this type of work. It's about the enjoyment of life, the fulfillment, fully. And, when you catch those pockets anyways, where it doesn't have to be this perfect linear thing where all of a sudden, you're perfectly healed or self-mastery, discipline, whatever. It's like, go into that, feel into that, like let it flow through you fully, because a lot of times the mind has its plan, subconsciously we think maybe it needs to go this way, when in reality it's like the spirit flowing through you of the joy sometimes can, whittle away, melt away, release those blocks that we were just creating in our own thinking space, and that it's not as hard as we think it needs to be. This is where it can start to become easier, but it's only easy for those that already have been all across the board with the dark night of the soul and haven't resisted that, as well as the ones that are on a search for truth. This is where the world that we've been waiting for, we can start getting just increased glimpses of that, and become that joyful vibration, like of that world that we want to see. Of course, for those that have been resisting that, which isn't really the people I'm speaking to, because I really don't feel that you can like wake anyone up that doesn't want to be awakened right now, or that is still in judgment mode, or being overly critical, which I know we can all slip with that South Node in Libra, especially getting activated, by Mercury. But, that for those people, I think the challenge too is like, how do you let them just be in their matrix scarcity until they're ready, and maybe they won't be ready, and that's okay, because the more that we starve those dramas of those distractions, and not from a place of, throwing up the cross to someone as if they're, bad for your reality or vibrationally or something, that you just focus and do your stuff. And then, your own tribe that you're meant to be with, the people that you're meant to connect with, they just come forward. So it's like, don't waste your precious energy getting triggered by, people that take you to that place. All right. Love you all. See you on the next horoscope.